1, 2, and 3. We are recording. We are live. All right. Hey, guys. We just want to come on here. Wednesday nights, we're going to be throwing up a video devotional once a week. And what we want to do Thursday nights is have like a talk. Just a talk about marriage, relationships, dating. One of the things that we're passionate about is helping marriages thrive. We want to be a church that has marriages thriving, growing. We believe that a healthy marriage is not just helpful immediately for the family, but for generations to come. And so that's the reason why on Thursday nights, around 8 p.m., once the kids are put away, we want to come on here and just talk about relationships, dating, marriage, all of that good stuff. And share some of the stuff that we've gone through, because contrary to what you see on Instagram, don't believe what's on the gram or on Facebook. Everybody's posting the highlight reels, but no one posts, I got in a fight with my wife today, or I'm angry at her. And so we want to share some of the stuff that we've gone through, some of the stuff that we've struggled with. I think it would be helpful for you if you're dating or in a relationship or about to be married, or in marriage.
So today we just wanted to talk a little bit about expectations. Like Andrew mentioned, each week we want to try to do a small video where we're just talking about our experiences in what we've been through, what's helped us, and just share, what's worked, what hasn't. Some stuff that's worked for us might not work for you. And some stuff that didn't work for us might work for you. But we just wanted to share, our hearts and just help marriages.
And give you practical tools or practical things to take home, and give you a biblical worldview on what marriage is. God created marriage. We believe that God orchestrated the foundation of marriage. So I think taking our cues from what Scripture says is very helpful. And so that's some of the stuff that we want to do. But we want to talk to you today about expectations, which is something we all have. If you're dating, if you're single, if you're married, we all have expectations. They could be small, they could be big. And what ends up happening is if we don't talk about our expectations, we bring that into marriage. And then we put a burden on our spouse.
Yes. So ideally, you want to talk about these before you're married. But if you're working through your marriage also, you want to also continue setting expectations, because it doesn't just start at the beginning of marriage or before marriage, but also throughout the marriage. As we continue to grow and change and evolve, within our marriage, our expectations continue to change at the same time that we're changing as well. And so 3 areas of our lives in which we want to share where expectations.
Now, before we share those expectations, I think we have expectations about everything. We have expectations about where we're going to spend vacation. We have expectations about are we going to visit our suegra, our in-laws? How many times are we going to visit them? We have expectations when it comes to sex. We have expectations when it comes to finances, money. How is that going to be orchestrated? Are we going to have separate accounts?
Even
are we going to have joint accounts?
How we deal with our arguments when we're upset. How do we resolve those conflicts, and how long is it going to take us to resolve those conflicts? Even that's expectations are very different.
So if you're dating or you're single, what I would recommend is you write down some of the expectations you have. Write them down, because I think if you don't write them down and you don't express them once you start dating someone, or once you start dating, you're going to take that into marriage, and then you're going to put that burden on someone, and they have no idea what those expectations are. And then when those expectations are not fulfilled, you're going to be disappointed. And when there's disappointment in a marriage, there's anger, there's frustration, which affects every area of your marriage, of your relationship. It affects the sex life, guys. It affects that area big time. And so you have to learn to communicate.
Yes.
You have to learn to be honest about the expectations. Where do they come from? Are they realistic? Are they like, you've been watching too many Disney movies and like...
And it's not just about putting something down on paper and meeting your spouse or meeting your significant other and saying, these are my expectations, this is what I need. And all of a sudden, okay, yes, I'm going to do what you say, because it's not just about that. It's about putting down what you expect, the mentality that you're coming in with, and coming to an agreement, understanding, and compromise. Because just because I expect our finances to go a certain way doesn't mean that he agrees with the way that I want him to be handled. And in that sense, we have to come to an agreement, have some compromise, and both be on the same page in how we're going to deal with whatever expectation we have about, certain areas in our marriage.
And yeah, so it could be different things. Mm-hmm. It could be finances. It could be...
For finances, for example, it's where we want to be at, where we want to be at now. Where do we want to be 5 years from now? What's the goal? What are we working toward? Are we going to donate to the church? Yes or no? And if so, how much? How often? Will there be joint checking accounts? Will there be separate accounts? Will there be both joint and separate? How much goes into each? How much goes into savings? Will there be savings?
And so you could already see when it came to finances, I had no expectations in regards to like how we're going to handle money. I just thought, we'll go halves. Marlene, on the other hand, she's completely wired to have everything organized. She has a budget. She has everything organized. So when we got into marriage, she has a spreadsheet. So if you needed, we could actually send that out to you. But we went into marriage with these expectations of how finances were going to run. And once we got married, one of the biggest fights we had in our first year of marriage, really, I think the only fight we had, was in regards to finances.
It's just not knowing where we were at when we got married. How much debt are you coming in with? How much? Because believe it or not, you're marrying your spouse, you're marrying their debt. And so it's legit.
Say that again.
When you are marrying your spouse, you are marrying their debt.
So no matter how beautiful they look or how hot she is, that FICO score and how much debt is there will change the way you see them. So just take it from our experience.
Some people may be off-put by you asking those questions, but they are perfectly legitimate to ask, because what debt your significant other is coming in to the marriage with is going to affect you. Because even if your partner says, you know what, we're going to keep our money separate, so it doesn't matter. No, yeah, it does matter. Because that debt will become your debt. And even though we wanted to keep our finances separate in the beginning, somebody will always end up falling short of where you expect to be. And it doesn't become fair to the other person. And so that's why it's important to communicate where you're at realistically and putting it down on paper.
So that expectation, because it was never communicated, was a problem and an issue in our marriage for about 10 years.
Yes.
For about 10 years, until we finally got completely out of debt.
And it's not just a talk of like, well, this is where I'm at, approximately, like, put the numbers down and really add them up, because what you think is a little bit may be a lot for the other person. So even there, numbers are not considered the same for each of you.
So finances was one. The other thing about expectations was how were we going to fight?
Well, it's not like we were planning our fights, but how were we going to deal with our arguments? I'm the type of person where if I'm upset, we're having an argument, I need my time. I need to cool off. You need to give me my space. Once I'm cooled down, then we can come back and talk. And he's the type I
want to fix things right then and there. So we have an argument. I want to sit down and just talk and figure things out, and not hold a grudge or not sleep through the night all angry. And that just
aggravated me more.
That was an expectation.
You want to talk about it while I'm angry, I'm going to be more angry, and I'm going to withdraw more and close up and not want to talk. And so arguments that should have lasted maybe a few minutes, tops an hour, for him to let me cool down could have lasted days of me not talking to him, because he kept pushing to fix things when I'm not ready. And so one of the things that we've done now is, like, I've communicated to him exactly what I need. You know what? I know you want to fix things now, but I need time. As long as you give me time, we can fix things right after, and the argument doesn't have to last that long.
And I've expressed my expectations in regards to wanting to fix things right then and there. So there's been times where I've given her space, and there's been times that I've been surprised where she comes and we fix things right away.
Because he's given me the space.
Right. But also because we've expressed and communicated those expectations.
Yes. And so we've come to a middle ground and
of working together.
Yes.
Because I think a lot of times in fights, we see the spouse as our enemy, when in reality, we should see each other as we're in the same team and we're having an argument and we need to get this fixed. Whether it's right then and there, whether it takes a few days, but it's taking care of that now before we get bitter and angry.
Yes.
And frustrated.
And another area of your life that affects is also your sex life, because now we're upset and you made me more upset, so I don't want to look at your face in the bed.
But it's, and also in regards to sex, I think an expectation that a lot of spouses do not share, because maybe they're afraid, or they're afraid of rejection, or they're afraid, what are they going to say, is the expectation in regards to sex. You know, a guy has a certain mentality of how many times you're going to have it a week, a month, a year. I don't know your relationship, but we all have these expectations. And again, when the expectations are not met, there's disappointment. And when disappointment is met, there's bitterness, there's anger, and it just brings a division.
And also, when you're upset, I know for us, I'm not the type to send you to the couch.
Oh yeah, it's my bed too, so I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, so it's like, stay on your side, I stay on mine. But ideally, we like to work things out before, going to bed upset with each other. But, we can't plan arguments when arguments happen sometimes, and it's just too close to bedtime that we're not fixing yet or talking about yet. We don't sleep separate. We just don't. The bed belongs to both of us, and I think it just creates more of a divide between us if we begin separating that way, because I think it sets a tone that it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, there's been times, I think there's been once or twice where I've just been really upset. It's like, I'm going to go sleep in the couch. But I think the reason I came back was because the couch was very uncomfortable. So, but that's one of the things that we really do. And I think the key, and you hear this from couples all of the time, from people all of the time, is that the key to a great marriage is really communicating those hopes, those dreams, those desires you have, those expectations, and putting them on the table, and coming together and realizing which one are they fantasy, or are they reality? Are they real, or are they not real? And talking about them and working as a team to really get those expectations met or put them to the side. So with all of that said, if you're married, I would have an honest conversation with your spouse about the expectations you have in regards to any area. Now, you don't have to write a list of 50 things, but maybe you could start with whatever it is that you're having an issue with right now, whatever it is that you're fighting with right now. It's what are the expectations that aren't being communicated? And if you are dating, I would begin to have those conversations with the person you're dating. Are we going to go to church? Are we not going to go to church? Are we going to raise our kid in church? Are we going to baptize them? Are we going to be Christian? Are we going to be Catholic? Like, I don't know. But those are conversations that we need to have all of the time, so that when you get into marriage, you're not going blinded with all these expectations, but you guys know where you guys are at. Anything else you wanted to say? We're trying to keep this under 15 minutes. So, okay.
Okay.
Communicate. Run their FICO score. Check their credit. How much debt do they have? And
Credit Karma is free.
yeah, there you go. But more than anything, the Christian life is about loving others more than you love yourself. It's loving others. And so one of the passages,
treating your spouse as Christ treated the church.
right. So John chapter 14 verse 34 says, this is Jesus speaking. He says, I give you a new command, love one another. Just as I have loved you, you are to also love one another. And by this, everyone will know that you are my disciples if you love one another. So I'm supposed to, as a husband, I'm supposed to love my wife the way Jesus loved me. And how did Jesus love me? He was patient. He was kind. He sacrificed. He gave his life for me. So all of those things, all of the things that Jesus did for me on the cross, for me in his life, I'm supposed to imitate that with my wife. So just imagine two people in a marriage imitating what Jesus has called us to do. It's powerful. Forgive. It's powerful to love. It's powerful to be patient, to be kind, to be respectful of that person. So if I do that and Marlene does that, it's a recipe for a great marriage. Not a perfect marriage, but a great marriage. So we'll be praying for you. See us next Thursday at 8. And we love you. See you guys.